Welcome everyone back to another episode of Dreamland, the series where I get really distracted and don't get anything I want to get done. Well, I mean, that could have been a better start, but here we are. Alrighty, now that that's all together, let's regroup up here. So in the last episode, we got to work on sealing in here a little bit and making more of the roof and making these really gigantic doorways, as well as checking in on our creeper farm over here, which is slowly going, but still not near as good as what I need and want. But for now, that doesn't matter so much. So we need to keep working on this insulation layer, we'll say. So we're going to have to go all around here to find some more clay and smelt that up into terracotta. As well as spawn proof here a little bit more, because as you can see, we still have some friends coming in thinking that it's okay for them to join the party. And it's going to be even worse once we start filling in this little bit here. And also we need to venture out because we are going to eventually make a item sorter. So we're going to need some packed ice and some ice to get everything going, which thankfully we know where some is. So we need to go down there and grab some, as well as while we're down there, maybe look into farming some guardian so we can get the pieces together so we can finally make our sea lanterns to light up this whole place. And as well as maybe, if I remember or don't get too distracted, start building out the next layer. I want to fill in here to be like 2 separate layers and then this be a whole new thing altogether. But I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet and if it's going to look good at all. So we'll get to that when it comes. But that's in the works as well. So for the item sorter, I was thinking of putting it, I don't even know really, somewhere here on this level. And then we can use the underground bit a little bit to hide some of it. Or even build it into like a wall so it doesn't really look really obvious, and then somehow incorporate it into here. Whether I make it so that there's a bunch of chests around here that contain the different items, and then I'll have different items hanging over them to show what they are. Whether I have that go all the way around, maybe on just the bottom layer, or maybe I'll do some stairs. That could work. And have like a few levels up is all the items, and then under is something else. Not sure yet. There are many possibilities we can do with this. But for starters, let's close this in with terracotta. So let's go on a hunt to find some more clay and get down safely this time. Realistically, I should probably light up this area too. They're probably going to help the spawner in the nighttime, as well as leave me be able to just roam around as much as I see fit. Alright, so we already looked around this area, so let's go around here. Jackpot. And some more over here. A little bit more. Alright, I think that's all the clay in this area for this little stream. Man, that looks cool from a distance. So, let's go back, smelt it up, and hopefully have enough to fill in the top. If not, we're going to have to go a little bit further out. Just have a little look around the sides here, just in case I missed any. Like that. Oh, we have hit the jackpot here. Alrighty, after that little trip, this is the amount of clay we have, which is a bunch more than I was expecting. So let's go home, smelt it up for real, and accidentally find some more. Okay, can't complain. Okay, now I think that's it. So, third time's the charm. Let's go home, smelt it up, and be ready to tackle this. Alright, home we go. Put our shulker box down and make it all up. Alrighty, now we have 2 stacks plus 4, so we'll load it up and it will begin smelting away. Alrighty, let's see how far this gets us. I don't think it'll get us all the way. We seem to be doing everything in half measures at the moment, but it's progress. Okie dokie, we are done. We actually did a fair bit, more than I expected. We went from that bit all the way over there, all the way to here, nearly finished this line. And then we still have this one and this one. So we are nearly halfway there. And as you can see here, I have seriously darkened this area and mobs are already spawning. So I'm going to have to light it up and make sure that we don't get any little friends jumping in with us again. So instead of just lighting up the one corner, I decided to preemptively light up the rest of them, which should, once all these little dudes are gone, help a lot with mob spawning. But now it is time for the best part, the time lapse. So let's go up there and start building out the main top roof layer thingy majiggy that I don't have a name for yet. Let's do it. It's GoldyLachs from the future here, and upon editing this video, I realized that the time lapse that was about to happen didn't record at all. I don't know how, I don't know why, but that's how it is. So just imagine that was a really enjoyable time lapse to watch, and we all had a bunch of fun, and then everything will be okay in the end. Whoopsie. And that is it. We actually had just enough material to do something for once, which is epic. So I've done the 5 layers up as per what I thought was going to look good. So now it's the moment of truth and we have to go see if it actually looks good or not. Oh yeah, that is looking insane. Especially when there's this block here and this block here that I still have to fix up. But disregard that. I think it's still really lacking the top features that I planned. So let's go home and grab together what I need for that. That's one really good thing about my skeleton farm is now I have all these bone blocks plus a bunch of other bones to make them into if I need be. So I can use as many as I want for this build. So my idea is pretty much that I'm going to have these coming out and just to make some sort of cool pattern with them that will also link into the big horn, bone, spike thingies that will be coming out of each of the 4 corners. So I'll lay these out and then get a start on how the rest of it's going to look. And after many hours of trying to figure out a good design, this is what the top is starting to look like. And if we take a look over here, this is my first kind of template for what the horns might look like. Obviously 3D and not just this plain flat shape, but they have to start somewhere. So you know how sometimes you get into something and you completely lose track of time? Well, that's what has happened here. This is what I just showed you. This is the outline template for the tusk thing that I was going to be putting into this build. But a couple hours in, kind of decided I didn't like it very much. Something about the shape of it and the way it worked, I just couldn't get around and I couldn't think of a way to incorporate it properly into the build. So after building for hours and hours, I decided against it and instead decided on this. A slightly different and smaller design, but definitely something way more manageable, and I think it's still going to have a really cool effect. So if we go and use the time-lapse camera, we can have a look as to what we have. Currently it's one main one and then the starting outlines of the other side, but my idea is to have on each corner one tusk coming out from each part. I'm going to have some sort of square in each corner as I've built up here, that will be supporting them and maybe even turn into their own room where we can use for storage or enchanting or just looking cool, because they can be hollowed out as we have here and we can theme the whole room around them. So I think this is the design that we're going to be using going forward, which is a shame because now I have to pull apart that whole thing, but oh well, needs to be done. I also have to figure out how I got that one and build it exactly the same because I completely freehanded that and now I have no idea how to recreate it. So that's another mission in itself. But this whole process is doing my head in. So it's time to take a break and work on something else I've been hoping to get to. Okay, so we made our creeper farm and it's basically just a big stone sculpture in the sky. So I had a plan to make it a little bit nicer and to try and match with the whole theme that we've got around the place at the moment. So in front of me is what I plan to do to it. We are going to make somewhat of a giant creeper statue. I'll fill in behind here with some sandstone to give it a bit of depth and then do the sides, top, bottom, and then possibly just a long body down because I think to scale the feet would be well into the ground where it is. So the idea is that the spawner will be in here. This will be all filled in around it so nothing can spawn inside of it, but it'll just give it a much cooler look than this grey blob in the sky. So that is the next big project that we have. But it wouldn't be a GoldyLachs Minecraft episode on Dreamland if there wasn't a time lapse. So let's go and mark out where roughly how this is going to sit just as a very, very basic outline so I know how many blocks to get. And let's do that in time lapse mode. So let's do it. Okay, and a quick check. Oh, hello. We have gunpowder. So I guess leaving it for a while has definitely helped out. Well, I'm getting spiders still, which is weird. I have to take a look at that. But this is definitely a better haul now that we have this going. So I have very, very poorly, very roughly sketched out where it's going to be. Creep, that is going to be the main face. This is going to be the body part that will go down. And by the looks of how it's going, the feet would have to be in the ground, so I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to have it coming out from the ground and looking really cool. But I'm going to need a lot more materials, because to get the same pattern as I did before, I need multiple different kinds of sandstone and lots of them. But before we end today's episode, I think it's time we finally make some rockets now that our beautiful creeper farm is definitely working a lot better than it has been. So let's get to it. Firstly, let's go and take all the reeds that we can. I definitely need to automate this farm and make it a little bit better. Let's jump down into our base and craft up these rockets. That is it. Our first stack and a half of rockets. You know what that calls for? Time for us to actually use our elytra and go for a quick little fly. Alrighty, time to equip the elytra. We are currently at the highest point we have built to so far, on top of the tusk that will be removed eventually. So let's go for our first flight. Here we go. Oh man, we can go so much further now and do so many cool things. This is awesome. It's gonna make getting around so much easier. You guys have no idea how happy I am right now. It has taken way too long to get to this point of being able to use rockets with my elytra. Okay, let's bring it down because I do not want this elytra to break on me. Well, I think that's where we'll end things. So, thank you all for watching. I have been GoldyLachs, and I will see you later.